Thank you for watching another episode of Welcome Kin. My name is Agis Rososimo. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching us. I really appreciate everyone and each of you. Today I invited to our studio a guest with incredibly interesting life story. We're going to talk about his life experience as a refugee, his journey to the United States, and how he became a successful business owner in Cheshire County. Chuda Mishra is from Nepal, but he was born in Bhutan, so originally from Bhutan. But he has spent most of his life in a refugee camp in Nepal. Bhutan is the country where they don't measure their national progress by gross domestic production index. Instead, they use gross national happiness index. However, Bhutan has a dark episode in a modern history. In the Kingdom of Bhutan, 1/6 of the population were driven out of their homes and out of their country. Overnight, Bhutanese of Nepali origin became stateless. More than 100,000 ethnic Nepali were forced out of their country, and in early 1990s, the authorities just driven them out because they wanted to impose the Bhutanese culture. So it's been described as the systematic ethnic cleansing. The refugees took shelter in refugee camps in Nepal to live a life in exile. Now, after decades of negotiating with Bhutan, the camps are almost empty and the refugees started a new life in new countries. And Chuda is my guest today. He's a successful business owner. He owns a Kin International Market, very wonderful store with authentic food. And we will talk about how he became a child in exile, to refugee, to a successful business owner who connects with the community through authentic international food. Chuda, thank you so much for coming to our studio. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I am deeply honored to have you here and listen to your incredible story. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you for coming. I find your story very inspiring, so thank you very much for sharing it with us. So please,
Welcome.
to start the conversation, could you please tell us a little bit about your background, how everything started for you, because you were a child when everything happened, right?
Yeah. So it happened early 90s. I was 3 or 4 years old. Things happened so quick that I don't remember much of it. But hearing from elders, it was pretty brutal. So from there, we moved back to camp.
Camp in Nepal.
Yeah. And then I was there for 18 years.
Wow.
After 18 years of living there, we got opportunity to come to U.S.
How do you remember life in the camp?
So the camp was, for us, it was fun. We didn't have much of responsibility, we were just kids.
As children, right?
Yeah, running around with thousands of other children. But the other way, emotionally and all that, it was difficult. When we leave that crowd and move outside of that crowd, it was hard to tell people when they ask, like, hey, where are you from?
Right.
It was hard to say, what should I say? Like, am I from Bhutan or from Nepal? So those are the things, those are difficult.
I believe a lot of people felt like they have no identity.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
They're disconnected.
So, yeah.
Do you feel like people had a lot of resentment towards the whole situation? Or?
I think so. Yeah. It was, a lot of, I would say the elders, people who were, older than us,
right.
I think it was very, very difficult for them,
Mm-hmm.
For example, like my mother, she was well established back home.
Mm-hmm.
She had everything she wanted. And we were like almost spoiled kids,
Right.
having all that to like in 2 days you have nothing.
Right.
So
literally overnight,
yeah,
you lost your whole life, your whole identity, and everything.
Yeah,
so when you moved to the camp, did you have to build all those houses? How did that look like?
First, when we left Bhutan, we went to Nepal. There was a big river or there is a big river called Mai, and closer to 100,000 people settled there along the side of river. So it got so bad that lack of sanitation, all that, people were dying. My mom says she remembers saying every day 10, 15, up to like 100 people dying. After living there for 6 months, then we moved to different camps. Because before, no one was there.
They delegated people to different camps.
Yeah.
For that.
So once the big organization, start getting involved, they start moving us to different camps.
So did you get help from like international organizations, or it was mostly Nepali government?
UNSCR, like UN, WFP. There was some medical group from Nepal, Nepal Red Cross societies, things like that. They start helping us, teaching us about sanitation, all that.
Right.
And actually, I think we bought our hut from someone else.
Oh.
Yeah.
How big was the camp?
Our camp was about maybe mile and a half radius.
So it's small.
It's small, yeah. We had 3 schools.
And how many people are in that camp?
Holy moly, that was quite a bit of people. Yeah. So over 100,000 people. So, after a couple of years, that multiplies.
Right.
And yeah.
So when you live, how is life in the camp when you live there? Do your parents go to work, or everybody works at the camp? They stay at the camp, and the kids stay at the camp and they go to school? Everything happens within the camp, or the camp is open and you can go outside and find jobs? And
the rules were we were getting food from UN, like WFP, all different organizations, like dry goods, vegetables, all that. So if you have like a couple people in a family, that's enough. But if you have more, it's not. So we had to sneak out of the camp. So we'll go, work as a general labor, whatever we can find, without letting authorities know that we went out and worked.
Right.
So that was difficult for them.
So how about the camps now? Do they still exist? Are people still there, or everybody is gone?
I think the camp that I grew up is there. I mean, I don't think there's any houses left.
No houses, just nature, trees.
Yeah, it's just sentimental.
And that you're coming back this year, so I believe it must be very emotional trip for you.
I can't wait.
You haven't been there before, have you?
It's been it's been 13, 14 years,
Yeah.
So
I'm happy for you then. You have a chance to go there.
Thank you. Yeah.
So could you please tell us how did you end up in the United States?
So I think it was around 2006 or 7. There was 10, 15 elders. Like one of them was my oldest brother. They got in touch with some organization from U.S. Along with Canada, Australia, a bunch of others. So they offer us, resettlement in all those countries. That's how the process began. Yeah.
And how old were you when you moved to the United States?
I was 20 years old.
20 years. So
yeah.
How was your experience when you landed in, I don't know, New York City or Manchester?
Yeah. It was, hearing from people, sometimes people overgeneralize things. Few of my relatives mentioned that, U.S. is like this, whatever we see on movies, tall buildings, all that. When we landed in New York, we landed there in November.
Right.
And we landed there at night. We flew to Manchester, and flying from New York to Manchester, you see like everything is covered with snow, and all the trees looks like dead. It was strange. I thought I was I was in the wrong place.
You're back in Nepal.
Yeah, it was like, they must have made a long circle. So it was a totally shocking. Yeah.
How was it life for you when you moved here? Was it hard to start life in a totally different country on a different continent?
Yeah, I mean, from
Yeah.
life is totally different here from top to bottom.
Yes.
My biggest fear was not knowing, what is appropriate and what is not. Hearing all the stories about having security cameras in the forest, all that, always, it always scared me. But there were, we had a good help. So I think that kind of helped
That
me
helped.
too.
And you had your family here, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
that is a big help.
My younger brother and my mom and dad came with me, and two of my older brothers and sister, they came a couple months ahead of us. And
What was
couple months.
the biggest cultural shock here? Was the language the biggest obstacle, or climate? What was the biggest thing for you?
So, of course, culture shock, not knowing,
And
everything
is
here
new.
is different. Like
Yes.
even switch, the light button
Right.
to everything.
Electric outlets, everything is
Yeah.
different.
So that was different. I was even afraid to turn the TV on because I don't know who pays the bill, right?
Right.
So I was like, do I want to turn it on? What if
Right.
police comes in? All that.
Right.
It was different.
No, it's very different. I
yeah.
can relate to a lot of things like that because I
of
know
course,
it's a totally
Yeah.
different. What are your dreams and hopes for Bhutanese, Nepali refugees?
I mean, we
Because you
still
still
have,
cannot come back to Bhutan, right?
No, it's sad. I mean, there are we are all different, but to me, it's sad that I didn't even do anything, and I feel like
Right.
they were punishing me for something that I didn't do,
Right.
and it's sad to hear that I cannot go back to there ever.
Do you think this will never change, or there is a hope for that if the government changes or the king changes? Or...
I think people might be trying to make this right.
Right.
Hopefully, time will come
Right.
that this thing will happen. I guess
Yep.
we can.
And I also know that you have American Nepali family, right?
Yes,
You have two
yes.
beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
Do you try to teach them the Nepalese culture, traditions, the upbringing? Do you try to make sure that they know how all those things look like?
Yeah. So, I grew up traveling here and there. So when it comes to that, Jenna is really good balancing both sides, and I'm trying my best too. We've been showing kids, this is the thing that I grew up following, it's good to respect,
Right.
everybody's belief. But when you guys grew up, it's up to you to make a
Right.
decision. But we're trying to balance both sides, and sometimes it can be complicated.
But you do a lot of things like you do the Holi festival every year, and you come to the international festival and you dress like in the Nepalese way, and the girls always they look nice in the outfits, and
They were very, very proud. Yeah, they're very proud that they have a connection to Nepal and Bhutan.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So you come here, and it's hard, but then you find your way to Keene, to New Hampshire, and then you come up with a wonderful idea to open a store with authentic international products that is very unique in this area. How did you do that?
So we were in Connecticut, and we were missing, home state, because Jenna, she grew up here, and this is my first place too, when I came to U.S. So we came back here because of her work, and away from family, away from the food that I grew up eating every day. So I was commuting to get that food that I wanted, and once I started meeting people here, I heard a lot of similar stories.
Right.
I thought this would be something I mean, at that point, I was thinking in terms of like a place where we can gather, share things, and have things that we need is right there. And so far, it's working that way.
It's working. So
Yeah.
how was it to start a business as a person who is not from this country? Because you need to find out all those regulations, laws, and the spot where you want to have a store. Like it feels so overwhelming.
It is. There is so many help out there, like how to start a business, But to me, it feels like there's so many things that are missing to get us, ready. Like
Right.
we need to know all the laws and regulations, left and right stuff. And most difficult part was finding distributors.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I met 3 Nepalese guys. They will want 3 different brand, right? Same thing, and I need to go find it from 3 different location. And
Are those locations closed or?
it depends.
Closer,
It depends. So it's just hard to keep track of those things. But other than that, yeah, it's been very
So
fun.
what nationalities do you represent in your store?
We
Japanese,
have-
I saw Japanese, Indian.
Yeah, we have Japanese. So let's say we have now somewhere around 30 to 35 different countries.
So where do you go to get all that stuff?
Ooh, I think we have closer to like 30, 35 distributors that we go.
So do you
or
get
I
those
go.
stuff from like New York? Do you go to New York?
Mostly I have to go get it from New York, New Jersey. We get things from Chicago,
Wow.
all over US.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do your customers kind of change? Do you
Um,
have you
yeah,
noticed that?
It's been over 2 years and we're still figuring out.
Still figuring out.
Yeah.
Because
it's
I feel like we had a big Indian population and that's kind of shrinking right
shrinking,
now. And now
yeah.
I've noticed, I might be wrong, but that's what I've noticed, that the Hispanic population is growing.
growing.
So it kind of feels like it's shifting and
That's
changing a
true.
little bit, right?
So we're trying to track all those through knowing where they were coming from, all
Right.
that, but it gets complicated.
So is it the biggest challenge for you to figure out the customers and then where to
Yeah,
go and
yeah.
get the product?
And then sometimes it's hard to find product, like so we need to find something else to fill the shelves that's related to whatever we cannot find. It's interesting, yeah.
What's the most rewarding about having a store like that?
Me personally, it feels good to have my own place,
Right.
where I can go whenever I want to go. And it's good to see a lot of people meeting. Like it became kind of like a meeting point for
Yes.
people, and I get a lot of cool lunches. Yeah, a lot of different food. Yeah, I think.
Homemade, delicious food,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it feels like it became a place where we can come and experience something
So
different.
I feel like that would be the place that makes you feel like you belong here,
Yes,
right? Because you
yes.
have your own international community with
Yeah.
people with similar or the same problems,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
they can kind of relate what you went through or going through, and I
Right.
think it's a kind of like a community center, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I think the most wonderful thing is to connect with people through food.
Right.
Like everybody loves food, everybody loves eating. It
That's
doesn't
the
matter what.
main connection, that we have with wherever we go.
What
Yeah.
food did you discover thanks to your business that you had no idea about before? Because when I went to your store, literally like 3/4, I had no idea that a food like that exists.
we get a lot of interesting feedbacks from people. To me, biggest challenge is to keep up with the product, and difficult part is people look at you different way. There are so many different kind of people. Some people will say like for example, thank you for being here, whereas
Right.
some people might say something else. Things like that. But overall, good stuff is
Good
winning.
feedback.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like everybody who I talk to about your store, everybody has a positive feedback.
Yeah,
Like everybody
yeah.
says, I love that store, and he has like really good products, and
that feels,
yes.
that makes me feel
Yes.
special. Yeah.
So, do you think that the whole journey from living in exile, being a refugee, moving to a different country, do you think it made you stronger?
I think.
Or you feel like
I would say so.
You
Yeah,
think so?
yeah.
You have grown
whatever,
because of that.
Whatever I learned in my past, learned or I didn't have any choice, then
Right.
deal with the fact, Now I learned, like, when it comes to those similar situations, how to handle, or it feels like all those years kind of prepared me for,
Where you
what I
are right
wanna
now.
Yeah,
Right.
and what I want to do and what I want to be in future.
Yeah, you gained a life experience that made you like stronger and
Yeah.
and a better person.
Right.
Right.
Sometimes it feels like, we lost so much that I feel like, am I going to be afraid of losing anything, but it's, yeah.
Do you feel like Keene is home for you now?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes. We've been here for a while and, nowhere than being here.
I feel like Keene is home for me as well. I love it here.
Yeah.
But there's always that little part of me, right, that's missing the other side of the
course.
continent.
Yeah, yeah.
That wishes like, I wish I was there, and I wish it was was speaking my native language, right, and all that stuff. What do you think is the biggest misconception about refugee?
That is, that's interesting question. I guess all I want to say is, we come here for so many reasons.
Right.
Some people have choice, or, some people don't have a choice.
Right.
Me personally, I appreciate that I'm here. I never imagined that I would be here, and I guess, to be honest, I'm very thankful that I'm here at this point. Yeah, yeah.
So what would be your message to refugees?
This is a place where we can, I think, do what we dream of doing, doing the right thing. And it depends on us,
Right, it's all within us, right?
Yeah, how we want to take things, and, we need to just be careful with what we say and what we do. Yeah.
And don't give up, be consistent.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
I feel like even though sometimes you feel like I can't do it anymore, I can take it anymore, you just need to get up and keep going and be consistent. And when you have a dream, when you have a goal, just stick to it. And
it takes time, but
time.
We'll get there. Yeah.
I think so. And time
Definitely.
Is the biggest thing, right?
Time is the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patience, right?
Patience and time.
That's hard to have.
Yeah, and then once you like make your own community, you feel like you belong here.
Yeah.
Your heart opens, and
That's true.
and you don't feel like there's a prejudice or intolerance. You feel like you're part of that community, and you add so much to that community. Everybody loves the store. Everybody loves you and your family. So thank you very much for coming to the studio, sharing your story. I am very honored that you're here.
Thank you very much.
And that's a really incredible story. So I hope it's an inspiration for all the immigrants and refugees that when you have dreams, just stick to those dreams. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
My name is Egis Rosasimo. Thank you, and see you in 2 weeks.